Why is Abu Dhabi cloudy? It makes no sense. I know it does get cloudy there in real life, but not at the time of the year that F1 goes. It's in the desert. I don't know. Doesn't make much sense, to be honest. Shouldn't be that cloudy in Abu Dhabi, but hey, just one of the things that the game does for us is unexpected weather. Yeah, we had 1/10 between 4th and 8th place. It was very close between those guys. So very unlucky there for you, Chiquito. But I'm sure you'll do better in the race. As we start the formation lap, just see the kind of pace that will be set here by the Ferrari driver. It's not looking like he's worried too much about backing the pack up at the moment. You see a gap already forming between Polwy and Jim here. I say between Polwy and Jim, but I think they're the wrong way round as Jim backs up. Look at them all. That is a long way to back up, to be honest. I'm sure the leader will sort that one out in the second half of the lap if he notices. And also, what would be useful is if I didn't get an invite to, would be if Hyped doesn't have horrible internet, because I'm sure from P9 he'll be right in the thick of it there on P1, lap 1, sorry. And if there's a lot of people around him, they may get pretty annoyed with him, to be honest. He has obviously got the potential to cause an incident that he's not even really involved in just because of the lag, and that is one of the main reasons he spent last race banned, because he had 3 internet warnings, whatever they call it here in ALR, and because it was his 3rd internet warning, he basically got a race ban for it. Oh, Ishtar joined, so he must have had some issues here in the formation lap. Hopefully that doesn't glitch the lobby. I know people joining back into the lobby during the formation lap has the potential to glitch the lobby and make us have to restart. So hopefully that doesn't happen here, because that would be well, it wouldn't be fun. As actually this pack is very spread out. 2 cars that are not spread out though is Ghost Toy and FRL Bread, very close in quali and on the run up to the grid inside of each other. Hopefully they don't quite get that close during the race, but we get some close battling between them. Just watching the grid form up now, as we can see the final cars coming around the last corner. Ishtar, strangely enough, being the last car despite qualifying P18. Of course he disconnected, so that will probably be why. Let's see, is the game going to work? It looks like it is. You have a light, 5 red lights, and we're underway for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Looks like a nice start there from Bread. It's a very nice start from Bread, in fact, as Ghost Toy coming under pressure a bit from the 2 cars behind, but that has been sorted by the fact that they're going side by side through turn 1 anyway. There's lots of cars off the track at the exit turn 1, and very, very close to being off the track at turn 3 there from Polwy. As the Red Bull in the background looks like he's made a move. He's just about kept it. He's not kept it on track at all. As Jim moves across, and that breaks Chiquito's front wing. I don't know if he lost the traction or something, but that is not great for Chiquito at all. In fact, now that's given Hyped the chance to come after his teammate. Let's just have a look into the next corner. As he's gone with a huge send, he's gone up the inside of the Renault as well. Contact pushes Jim off the track, and he's losing positions now to, well, he's lost the position to Chiquito. He's managed to stay ahead of Hyped though for the minute. I think Hyped might try and have a go at him. He is. Look at that. That's a lot of cars to be wide here. someone's going to get spun, and Lord Alham somehow manages to make that work, as Rally does not make it work at all. No, it's not Rally. Who is that? That's Will. Will all the way back down in last after get spun through the second section of the triple cornered chicane. So yeah, he just got very caught on the inside there. Very unlucky from him, to be honest, as Basket Mill is losing places through the hotel section. Just about manages to hold off Ladamala, with Hyped now losing positions. He's actually spun out of the final corner, and he's going into the pits, but it doesn't look like he's got any damage, as apparently DRS is enabled, which it definitely is not considering it's lap 2. There's going to be a double stack here from Haas, unfortunately. Both drivers pitting here at the end of lap 1. Horrible stuff from the drivers who's qualified P8 and 9. It'd be interesting to see if that shows up at all in the wait, Hyped. Oh, he's lagging so much, man. Yeah, but back to the front now, as we have half a second around about between our two leaders. Of course, DRS not enabled yet, so it would be unlikely to close too much just yet, but give it a lap or so and we could see that gap come right down, depending on the pace of these two drivers. Just having a look. Looks like look at that, 2-stop predictive strategy, soft, medium. So that is what Bread is looking to go for, as 2 sets of softs followed by a set of mediums in the final stint. Hopefully, if we change car, we get to see what Ghost Toy's predictive strategy is, please. I don't think we will, but we'll stay on board with him for just a bit, just in case it decides to show it anytime soon. 38.0 here from Bread to set the pace at the beginning of this race. And DRS is now actually enabled as we head onto lap 3, and all the leaderboard glitches and stuff have sorted themselves out. Honestly, I hope that next game is so much better, because it's so difficult to commentate, and I mean, even for a viewer it must be so confusing to have just the leaderboard just be wrong at the start of a race, you know. So hopefully that is all sorted for F1 2021. And of course, recently the official news that EA have acquired Codemasters, so not really looking to start a big conversation about that down in the comments, because I know different people have very different opinions on that. But Ladamala just unable to get through there. Mr. Stickerlass also looking for a move on Swen, unable to make it work this time around. But I know different people have quite different opinions on that, so let's not talk about it too much. But of course, the guarantee will be that it comes with a lot more funding and resources, as Mr. Stickerlass tries round the outside of Swen, just about leaves the room by the looks of it, and makes his way through the second part there. So not sure too much about the cleanliness of that move, but he's got it done, and Ladamala makes his way through on Basket and Mill through the left hand, and you don't usually see overtakes through there, but it has pulled it off this time around. Yeah, I agree with you there, Jacob, to be honest. So, but I know a lot of people will disagree. And just for people watching, I don't think Hyped actually is a lap down. It's just glitched because he's lagging again. So yeah, we'll have to see if he maybe upset anyone's race on lap 1 there, because if he did, that could be another ban coming for his internet connection. Let's just see how close Rally is to the back of Lord Alam at the moment. Lord Alam with a massive start in this race, to be honest, moving his way up into P9. Must be one of the biggest movers of the race so far. Yeah, look at that, up 10 places. I think the closest anyone else is to that is Tandy, who's up 5. In fact, Ladamala is up 6 there, but has a penalty already. So yeah, as Rally now looking for the move into the chicane. Just going to wait a little bit longer. Does have another DRS straight coming up to make his move. Let's see if he's going to try here instead. sometimes it is smarter just to back off on the first straight and go for the move on the second straight, but sometimes, as you can see here, it's probably better to go for it on the first straight and not get held up through the chicane, because that will compromise your exit onto the second DRS straight. So it's completely situational whether you should go for one or not, and this time it hasn't really worked out for Rally. He is still in 10th place behind Lord Alam. Another car very close to the driver in front is in fact this entire train, as Ghost Toy is actually past Bread. We missed that, and now Sepsky past Dresbassen, as Dresbassen actually pits and is followed by Polpi. So that's very early stops. Lap 3, at the end of lap 3, to stop for what I'd assume would be a set of mediums. Just keep my eye on that. Yeah, mediums for both drivers, so they're doing 2-stop, soft, medium, medium. So I completely missed Ghost Toy getting past Bread there. I didn't think he'd be close enough, which is why I was looking elsewhere, but he has made the move at some point in the lap. So just got to watch how this plays out, if Bread's maybe able to counter-attack within the next couple of laps. But it does look like Ghost has the pace at the moment compared to his rival. But we'll have to see how that changes over the next few laps. And we still don't know what strategy Ghost Toy is going for. Obviously we know that Bread's doing 2 sets of softs and 1 set of mediums, but it's actually the more common strategy to go soft, medium, medium here in Abu Dhabi. So we'll just have to see what he's up to as Ladamala makes his way up into P10 past Mr. Stickerlass. Maybe a chance to come back at him though into the chicane, as we have Lord Alam getting passed by Rally finally, and that's Alam down to 8th, Rally up to 7th in this race with his teammate right behind him. So definitely the closest fight in the field at the moment. I'll have to see how this keeps going. We have from about 7th down to 14th in this train, so that's about 7 cars this train. You can just see how tightly packed it is from in the background of this shot here. Wow, that's a lot of cars very close together, and a lot of these guys will be looking for ways past as soon as possible, really. Looking like Lord Alam was able to take advantage of the chaos at the start of this race, and has maybe not got the pace to maintain it at the moment with all these medium runners around him. The softs at this point of the race would definitely be dying out compared to the mediums. Actually derating there, Lord Alam. That's just how much DRS he's used in order to keep that position. There's a moment on the exit of turn, whatever turn that is there, and he's got his teammate now coming past him, maybe even before the DRS zone, and he tucks back into the slipstream, unable to get the momentum out of the hairpin. But he's going to have it now with this DRS flap open, and maybe even Ladamala coming through as well. He is going to come through, maybe past Tambi. Tambi moves to the inside to defend. Ladamala just able to keep it alongside into this next section. A lot of respect given between these two drivers here, and it has been Tambi who's got the better of this situation, but he doesn't have DRS for this next straight. He's got to defend from 2 cars now, both his teammate and Ladamala. Ladamala going to the outside once again, a little bit later on the brakes than Tambi, but is the room going to be given? It is. There's this final switch on the chicane there, and Tambi's able to hold the position. We have yellows, and it's looking like it's Chiquito. Oh, it's a very strange place to look up the inside there from Ladamala. I think it's better of it coming into the hairpin. Not really enough room there to make a move, but what this has done is it's bunched this group right back up after this battling, and it's invited a couple more drivers to join the train. Wilton Ishtar now very much a part of this leading, well, not leading, what is this? This is the second large group of cars from still about 6th. The Stickerlass is past Lord Alam, but there's contact in the exit of turn 1, and both drivers going off the track there due to the contact. And this could be another position lost to Swen here for Lord Alam, and it is going to be as he touched into the braking zone. Swen going very wide, probably to give a bit of room, and Basket looking like he runs into the back of Lord Alam. Lord Alam is round, and now Basket is under pressure from Wilt, unable to find a way through here, but he's going to have the DRS and slipstream, which Basket is not going to have. So a bit of chaos there has broken up that train, and that is an easy pass there from Wilt, maybe even from Rossi too. He goes down the inside into the chicane, just able to hold it there, Basket though. just about enough room left, and it's actually compromised Ishtar's exit there. So let's see where Ishtar ends up after all this, as Ladamala now passes Tambi. But Tambi trying to hold it on the outside, switches to the inside, the outside once again, and Ladamala able just to squeeze him out on the exit of the triple chicane there. We're going to go back a little bit, see what's going on back towards the back of this train, and no switches of position there from these guys. Although Tambi's still looking like he wasn't going to give up that position too easily, as the Racing Points had a brief switch there, but they are back in the same order they were before, as Ghost Toy now with the 2-second lead in this race. So Bread just unable to keep up the same level of pace at the moment, as Dosepsky pits for his first stop of this race, getting rid of those softs, putting on the medium tyre here on lap 8. Rudy pressuring Bread a little bit here, so maybe even though he had the pace in qualifying, just unable to maintain it throughout the race so far. And of course he won't have DRS to defend from as we come onto this back straight, but I think Rudy's maybe just a little bit too far back. But further, someone who is not too far back is Pulpy, who's got through on Basket Mill just before the DRS zone though. Of course he will have the help of the DRS in front of him, so it could have been a smart move, but in most cases you probably wouldn't want to go for that move because of the DRS coming up next straight, as Rossi makes a fairly easy pass on Wilt here for P11. Moves himself up behind Sven. He has got a little bit to catch before he's into Sven's DRS though. What might save him here though is that Wilt is under pressure from Pulpy, as Ladamala and Tambi swap positions once again on this straight, as looks like this time they won't be going side by side. Two drivers who will be going side by side though is Pulpy and Wilt, as Pulpy takes the outside, and Wilt with a little loss of traction there means that he's going to have to give up the position through the chicane, and a 3-second time penalty there for Ishtar, who is currently behind Basket still, as we have Ghost Toy retired from the session. What happened to him? Oh, coming into the pits. He's hit the wall coming into the pits, and it's a full safety car here in this race, and wow, I've never seen a driver there before. What? How has he ended up there? He's now disappeared. He's obviously hit that metal barrier there. Wow, that is definitely a full safety car for where that car was. But our leader has crashed out of the race, all on his own. It seems like, in a very, very odd place to do it. I don't know what to make of that. That is very strange. And we see some drivers going onto hards. Well, I say some. Ishtar going onto hards here. A lot of the field going onto mediums and softs though. Sculsey onto hards, so Sculsey will try to go to the end from here. His Basket and Mill retires too. That he retired in the pits, so very strange. Not sure what to make of that, to be completely honest. So I don't. What even just happened? The leader, just all on his own, crashes out of the race. You did. Sculsey onto the hard tyres, so yeah, he's doing a one-stop. Well done, Jacob, for that insight there earlier on. I guess this is a good chance to read out the interviews. It is that time once again. Let's see. Actually, there's quite a few answers this week, so it's all right. So the questions were this week. Question number 1: what do you think of this track? Question number 2: who will finish on the podium? Question number 3: what will the pole time be? Question number 4: what car are you most looking forward to being revealed? So that's in real F1 livery reveals, as Ishtar rejoins the session. A lot of position changes going on there, as drivers pitting on the second lap of the safety car. Unfortunately for them, that's not the best time to really pit, to be honest. Question number 5, how would you rate your season so far and what are you hoping for the rest of the season? And question number 6, who do you think has been the most improved driver this season? So the first person to answer was Ishtar, as Lord Alam has retired in the pits. So yeah, he's manually retired there in the pits. Don't know what happened to him, but he obviously didn't feel like completing this race. Yeah, Ishtar being the first one to answer, he said Sector 3 is so boring. He thinks the podium will be Rudy, Ghost Toy and Polwy. Well, it's not. It's not going to be that today. He says 3 he doesn't know. That's fair enough. Question 4, it says Alpine purely because it will be the only one that's changed drastically in design. Yeah, that's fair enough. Very unlikely that Alpine will be yellow and black, to be honest, so yeah, I can see why you'd be looking forward to that one. Number 5, he says 1 out of 10 he's hoping for the entire field to crash so he can win a race at some point. I think he can give himself a little bit more credit than that. He's had a few races here and there where he's done very well. A few qualifying performances that are very good as well, so I wouldn't say he deserves a 1 out of 10. And he says, who do you think the most improved driver is? He says Rudy, because he is speed. Polwy being the second one to answer here, our current leader for this safety car. He says he thinks this track is fancy. And that is it. So, yeah. Safety car in this lap, so I won't have much time to read the rest of this out. It says question number 2, he thinks Italian 1, Italian 2 and Bread will be on the podium. Doesn't know the pole time. He says the Williams like every year. 10 out of 10 for his season. He says his goal is just to have fun further on. And he says Rudy is also his driver of the season. It's been a really bad getaway actually from Polwy here, straight under pressure for Bread. Bread's going to try it down the inside for turn 1. He's actually got the better exit and he's up into the lead already. What has gone on there for Polwy? He's had an awful restart. Already dropping a position into what isn't really an overtaking position, and now he's going to lose a second one to Rudy. Did he not heat up his tyres? And get a bad restart, bad traction out of the final corner because of it, as that's a big cut there from Mr. Stickerlass as he passes Swen. I think Mr. Stickerlass has spun. No, he's just lost a lot of positions. Very odd. And an out-drag Wilt though, of course DRS will not be enabled for a few more laps, as in the background we have Ishtar trying to pass Chiquito. Not looking like he's close enough now. Oh, he's run into the back of Chiquito after a very heavy braking there from Swen. I don't know if Chiquito also got damaged. I don't think I saw any from Chiquito. But that's definitely damage there for Ishtar, as we have Dusepsky battling with Sculzy, and that's a touch there on the exit of the chicane. Sculzy with 3-second time penalty for corner cutting, so he obviously came off and completely missed the second part of that chicane to keep the position. Not sure how happy with that Sepsky will be. In fact, I doubt he'll be happy at all with that kind of driving, especially with the touch on exit, but we'll have to see what goes on with that later on in the stewards room. Sculzy already derating. Very odd. How have you used that much ERS already? Wow. As Ishtar now at the back of the field with this damage. Very unlikely to go anywhere for the rest of this race, to be honest. Chiquito did not get damage from his contact with Swen there, so Chiquito gets away with it. Ishtar not so much, unfortunately, for Racing Point. They have one driver on the podium and the other one in dead last at the moment. Very, very unfortunate for them, as Wilt is actually very close to the back of Mr. Stickerlass here as we come onto the back straight. Let's see, obviously still no DRS just yet. That will get enabled next lap, so he'll have to make the best of what he has right now, and it's not a lot right now, I can tell you that much. Probably won't see any major overtakes for another couple of laps. We have Chiquito passing Swen there for P14. Looks like he's used quite a bit of VRS to make it happen. Swen now tucking right into his slipstream, may be able to make something happen, but he does have Hype to worry about. Hype looking for a move now into the triple chicane. He sends it up the inside, given the room by Swen. Maybe a bit forceful there, but Sven did give him the room, and he is through on the Mercedes driver. Maybe a little bit of lag involved from his point of view, maybe not. And there was another move further up the field, but I can't work out what it was, so we'll continue to look at this train as it's a 1:37.1 from Brad as he comes across the line for to start lap 13 and enable DRS once again in this race. Definitely setting the pace now that Ghost Toy has retired and is already 1.5 seconds ahead of Rudy. The next car is Wilt actually gets a penalty for multiple warnings, joining the club as Ishtar retires from the race manually in the pits, joining the club of Rossi, Stikolas, Ladamala, Tambi, Sculzi and Polhui, who also have penalties. Down to 16 drivers then. 4 have retired from this race so far, and we're not even halfway. We're pretty close to halfway, but we're not halfway just yet. So a lot more could happen in this race, as we see the two Hasses very close. A little bit of lag. You can see like Hype's car there just shaking side to side a bit. That is where he has lag, and once you get into braking zones, that is when that kind of lag starts to go forwards and backwards instead of side to side and becomes a bit of an issue. Jim very close there to the cars ahead, not able to make anything happen as Hype tries to move on Chiquito. Chiquito just about getting pushed out of room there. Hype makes his way up into P14, and Desepsky finally finds his way through on Sculzi and can chase down Polhui for P3. Sculzi really being the bottleneck on this train at the moment on those hard tyres. A lot of the drivers behind on well, not fresher but softer compounded tyres that they are hoping at least to use to get past him soon. Although saying that, Trespassen looks like he's fallen back a little bit there. 5/10 is the gap. He's going to want to close that before they get to the next DRS zone, because 5/10 is normally just outside of the required range to get that overtake done, because you only start really feeling the effects of slipstream from about 6/10 behind on this game. So you have to be within that 6/10 to get the slipstream, whereas it's a lot further back than that you feel dirty air and stuff. So that's why it's so difficult to overtake in this game compared to F1 2019. Just Basson now looking for the move on Sculzi down into the chicane. It looks like he's going to get it done pretty easily on the brakes there. He's going to have to defend throughout the next straight, because he does have he doesn't have DRS, sorry. Sculzi though, even with his DRS, is losing out to Jim now, so Trespassen is safe for the minute, as Sculzi just losing out to Jim on the inside there, and now he's going to lose out to Rally too, who's coming through. Again, very strange place to overtake, but it's where we saw Ladamala make a move earlier on in the race. Speaking of Ladamala, he's right behind Tambi, who's right behind the Williams of Sculzi. He's actually going to make a move. He's actually not managed to. I think there's a bit of contact in the apex of the hairpin there. Nearly gets passed by Mr. Stikolas, but just about managed to hold him off for 10th place at the moment. Of course, the last points paying position, as Trespassen gets a 3-second time penalty up there in 5th place. Now let's see what happens here between Tambi and Ladamala. These two have been very close all race. Let's just see what happens in this next exchange, because they do have a Williams in front of them, but they're going to be fighting each other as well, as Ladamala holds off for a little bit. Once that DRS, which will be coming up shortly, of course, if Tambi passes Sculzi on this next straight, he'll be trying to defend from Ladamala on the straight after that, because their detection point is on the exit of the chicane here. So he's got to try and play this tactically to make sure he keeps Ladamala behind him, as well as coming through on the Williams. He decides not to go for the move into the chicane. He does have a little look, but doesn't go for the move, as there's a lock up there from Sculzi. Probably puts Tambi off a little bit. Been a much better exit here from Ladamala coming out of the chicane. Ladamala going to have the run on Tambi here. Tambi also with the run round the outside. They're going to maybe go through it, not quite. Tambi going round the outside, there's contact again, and that allows a switchback from Ladamala Sculzi right across the grass. He's going to lose even more positions as Mr. Stiklas comes through, and he spun on the apex of the next corner. I think that was Mr. Stiklas he had contact with there. So horrible stuff for Sculzi there, as he has damage to his right end plate now. After all of that, and Hyped makes his way through on Rossi into the hotel section. Chiquito also looking for a way through on the Ferrari driver. As during that exchange, Bread also got a 3-second time penalty, which now puts Rudy into the net lead of this race. Whew, what a crazy couple of minutes that was. Dynamo says Lord Alam needs to straighten up, dangerous driver. And I don't know what happened to him, so I can't comment on that actually. Magnus says no big fish in reference to Sculzi and his incident, and I'm gonna say this wrong. Jazzy says Sepsky go. There's a Hyped with a huge lunge there on Wiltz. He completely overshoots the corner, but because Wiltz having to get out of the way, he keeps the position. And this is the kind of dangerous driving that Hyped quite often gets told off for, because he just sends it, but you have to get out of the way because you don't want a crash to happen. So he gets the position anyway, so he thinks it's a fine move and he thinks it works, but it's not. It's dangerous. Extremely dangerous when you nearly miss the corner like that. Chiquito with 3 seconds for that small cut that we just saw there, and Dress Basson got passed by Jim a minute ago too. Just looking at this group of cars though, it's where the most action is going on at the moment. Tambi with 3 seconds, so that's another 3 seconds for Tambi for track limits warnings in this race. Lap 17 now. Rally passes Dresser pits, so he'll be trying to go to the end here, probably on the set of mediums, I'd imagine, as he started on the softs. Yep, that's the second set of mediums, so soft, medium, medium is his strategy in this race, as predicted. It's a shame now, Ghost Toy crashed, so we don't really get the excitement of that battle for the lead, and seeing maybe if he tried a different strategy to Bread or something like that. We've kind of been robbed as that, as there's a bit of contact between Wilt and Hyped. Hyped not affected too badly by that. Wilt probably doesn't get the run he wants because of it though, and he's a long way back. He's probably not going to be able to make a move. So actually just Hyped is a lap down there. So again, it's glitched mostly due to his lag, I'm pretty sure. There's another bit of contact there. Oh, is this a big clattering of the curb there from Hype? Just about works for him though. Yeah, it's easy to see from the way drivers are reacting to Hype just how much he is lagging here. So he better hope that he doesn't cause any major incidents as he pushes Wilt over the edge of the corner. That's the 3 seconds for corner cutting, but he takes the position anyway. There's a big moment in the background there for Rossi as Hyped is allowed back through by Wilt, and Chiquito manages to find his way through as well, but Chiquito going wide at the hairpin. Is that going to allow Wilt an avenue to attack through? It will. Wilt on the inside. There's Chiquito with another 3 second time penalty for multiple warnings, and Rossi getting involved too. Wilt still trying to go side by side, just not able to find the room on the outside of that corner there, as Polpi now pits for what would be his final stop of the day, most likely onto mediums as well. It is onto mediums. So Wilt giving the position up has actually cost him another position to Chiquito there. So very unfortunate for the Red Bull driver after the contact with Hype sent him off the track. There's another 3 second time penalty for him cutting that corner there, so that's multiple warnings now. The previous one was a straight penalty for corner cutting. So it's just really in the space of the last lap gone from decent, as he was in the back end of the points, to absolutely horrible for Wilt here, as now he's looking like he's going to lose the position to Rossi, and Rossi slightly ahead going into the braking zone. Wilt trying to hold it round the outside. He's not really got the line for it though. He probably braked a little bit too late, in fact, and Rossi has found his way through. Of course, will get DRS for the second straight. Maybe a chance to come back at the Ferrari. Doesn't look like he's close enough though, so it's going to be P12 for Wilt after only a lap ago, being all the way up in P9. So a lot of positions lost for the Red Bull the last couple of laps. Tambi and Vladimir, these two are just inseparable at the moment, just following each other around the track. Vladimir so just basically tucked under that rear wing of Tambi, and Tambi just not able to catch Rally in front, so he doesn't have that DRS benefit to defend with. Although it looks like now that Rally's just fallen outside of that 1 second gap to Jim, so unless he can do anything about that by the time they get to the detection point, it may start to become a little bit easier for Tambi, who can start catching him as Dressbassen with the fastest lap of the race of 1:36.1. As you see how much more curb Vladimir takes than Tambi through there. It's amazing to see just the different lines that people are taking. Unfortunately, it's not a track that has too many opportunities to overtake, so those different lines are a bit wasted. As now Vladimir looking for the move down the back straight, and he's fully ahead into the braking zone, so that is an easy DRS pass there from Vladimir. Now, is Tambi going to use the DRS here on this second straight to fight back? Looks like Vladimir had a better exit, so it's going to be hard, but Vladimir, of course, doesn't have DRS to defend with. Maybe, yeah, he's derating, so he's quite low on ERS there, and Tambi finds his way back through, coming into the next chicane. So, 2 moves, but they've ended up in the same positions they were a lap ago. And I'm sure this will get very boring very quick for both of these drivers, should this continue as it has been. Just looking around now, Rally actually caught right back up to Jim, so maybe a mistake there from Jim, as Tambi now falling back even further from this pair. Bit of a mistake there from Rally on the exit. That's going to cost him a little bit of time down the straight, as Dosepsky pits for a set of softs here at the end, so he's trying the soft, medium, soft strategy, and I think everyone who pits from now until the end of the race will be pitting onto that soft tyre, with lap 20 I think being the preferred lap to stop when you're on this strategy. So we expect some more drivers to pit this lap. Rudy actually just fell outside of that 3 second gap to Bread, so he actually has to catch him again if he wants a chance at the win here, and of course do all that while not getting a penalty of his own, which wouldn't really put him under any pressure from Jim, who's 7 seconds back. Jim with a bit of a moment on the exit there, that could invite Rally into a move, as he's a lot closer this time round down the second DRS straight. Maybe not close enough though, as I'm sure both drivers used a bit of ERS there, as Dressbassen looks like he made the move on Swen for P9. Swen on those hard tyres for the last 9 laps of this race. De-racing though Dressbassen, that's going to allow Swen a little look, but he decides not to go for the move this time. Settling for 10th place at the moment, with his teammate rapidly catching him for that last points position. Of course, his teammate who just pitted onto those soft tyres, and will be trying to take those to the end. Bread pits from the lead. It's going to be the soft tyre for the Ferrari driver. Rudy goes another lap, as does Jim and Rally. So what are these drivers up to, I wonder, as Tambi also pits and is not... in fact, I think Vladimir is trying the undercut. So we'll have to see how this works out for them, as Hyped moves up into 4th after being last not that long ago, but he will have to stop again. 10 seconds for Scoolsy corner cutting. What has he done? And I think he's pitting now, probably to retire, I'd imagine. Yep, there we go. And he becomes the 5th retirement of this race, leaving us with only 5 drivers. Wilt and Tambi here fighting over last. The undercut has worked massively for Vladimir. Look how many positions he is ahead of Tambi right now. Vladimir, who was tucked right behind Tambi, is now 4 positions ahead of him. So his undercut has worked beautifully for him, as hyped with the position lost to Bread there. Bread, of course, having just pitted. Polpy also right behind, hyped on fresher tyres, should be making a move soon. It looks like he's going to try round the outside into the double right-hander. I guess it's a triple right-hander, but hyped does not fight it hard at all, allowing Polpy to move back up into 5th, right behind Bread. Of course, both drivers have penalties, so that won't be much of a factor in this one, as we have Rally in the pits. Jim and Rudy continue. Are they going for a one-stop? Could they be going for a one-stop, I wonder? It's definitely possible, but I'm not sure I'd recommend it, especially looking at the gaps here and how quickly Bread's closing it. I think there's a reason everyone two-stops at this track, and it could be a risky move. Of course, I think their tyres should be fine. I don't think they should be at too much of a risk of a puncture or anything. So they should be covered in that sense. As Decepsky gets 3 seconds for multiple warnings. That's him down in 7th there, ahead of his teammate Swen. A long way ahead of his teammate Swen already. So making good progress there is Decepsky, who is actually right behind Drespassen, so that could be an interesting fight in the closing stages of this race. But I am just going to have a look at Rudy and Jim just to see if they might pit this lap, but I think if they don't pit this lap, then they're definitely going to try and go to the end. As I said before, I don't think there's too much risk of a puncture, but they will be so slow come the end. And Decepsky makes his way through on Drespassen, coming into the second chicane. I call it the second chicane, it's not the second chicane, it's the chicane at the end of the second DRS straight. But there we go, see many moves there so far, and towards the end of this race there's no exception, as Drespassen is passed for 6th place. Hyped is the next car up the road for these two. Of course, Sepsky on softer, fresher tyres than Dresser, so Dresser probably didn't have too much to fight it with, especially since we saw him derating earlier. I'd imagine that he is struggling in all senses in ability to fight that position. Hyped with no penalty so far, so this could actually benefit him quite a bit come the end of this race. Of course, he's unlikely to stay within that 3 seconds on Bread and Polpy, who have already broken the gap they need. Let's look at Bread, 2 seconds on the last lap quicker than Jim, and Jim is only 8.5 seconds back, so with the remaining 5 laps of this race, it's going to be a close one at the end, I would tell you, but I think it might have been a mistake, especially with the more those tyres die, the slower they'll get. And now Hyped under pressure from Decepsky, it's going to be a pretty easy DRS move, I think, coming into the chicane. Maybe Hyped will use the DRS in the second straight, as he's actually had a lock-up, so that's going to compromise his exit quite badly. And now he's under pressure from Drespassen, so there's no chance to fight back Decepsky because Drespassen's on his tail. Both Decepsky and Drespassen derating already. Hyped not so much though. Of course, his tyres are a lot older though, as he's probably trying to go to the end on these. Again, not sure it was the right decision given his position, but we'll see how it plays out. He does have 5 seconds back to Ladamala, and Tamby down there in last really must be regretting his decision. There's another 3-second time penalty. Must be regretting his decision to pit that 1 lap later compared to his rivals. And we actually have Bread now right on the back of Jim, so look how quickly he's caught him. In fact, I think Jim is slightly catching Rudy as well, so even though he has 1 lap older tyres, Jim is using them to the best he can. As that's a move round the outside, switches to the inside for Bread. Not usually where you see cars go side by side. It's going to be a bit of a toss-up to see who got the DRS here. There's a big mistake on exit by Jim, just lost the traction. That's what those older tyres would do, but he did get the DRS from Bread. So Bread now is going to have to use a lot of ERS if he wants to defend this. And in fact, it's going to be a pretty simple move from Jim to use that DRS to pass Bread again, but he's locked up into the chicane. Probably not going to get the best exit from that if you just look at the different lines these two are taking now. And DRS once again for the Ferrari driver, as there's derating from the Renault there, so he used a lot of his ERS to get that position back from Bread after the initial move, and that is Bread through at the triple chicane. And I mean, doing all that, he didn't even lose that much time to Rudy, only about 2/10 lost to the leader from that little exchange, but he is going to have to be over 2 seconds a lap quicker now if he wants any chance of this win, as Tambi passes Rossi for the wooden spoon in this race. Tambi with quite a promising first half, really struggled since his latest pit stop, so very, very unfortunate for the McLaren driver. Rossi even more so seemingly, because he's just, even though his tyres are fresh, he's just struggling for traction out of some of these corners. Very odd to see, but he is now last place, which is a huge contrast to his teammate who's looking to possibly take the win here. In fact, his teammate, who's already gained a second and a half since the last time we were looking, on Rudy. So I mean, just under 4 laps left in this race, and the gap is 6.2 seconds. It's going to be very close at the end here, and Jim under pressure now from Polhui. Polhui moves his way up into 3rd place past the Renault, moves quite aggressively back across the track into the braking zone, but he is fully ahead this time. And just looking a little bit further back, it's unlikely, I think, that Dosepsky will catch Polhui. I think Dosepsky's got to settle for 4th at the best, and even then it might be a struggle to get 4th away from Jim with the remaining laps. We'll have to see what the pace is like, especially since he's still got Drespassen on his tail. Drespassen might look for a late move in this race to move himself back up into 5th place, depending on how he plays this. Mr. Stiklas going round the outside of Swen at the second DRS zone. He's made the move work there. So up into 11th place for Mr. Stiklas. Unfortunately not a points position for him. Swen with a big moment there. But he is up there anyway, and Hyped has been passed by Ladamala now through the hotel section. So that's a very, again from Ladamala, strange place to make the move, but he's got it to work. And Rally right in the back of Hyped now. And Hyped just looking like he's going to go backwards and backwards and backwards, with Chiquito also on the back of his train, his teammate who he was fighting earlier on. So this strategy just doesn't look like it's really worked for Hyped at all. He should have pitted, I think, onto the softs probably with the rest of these guys, and really gone for it at the end of this race. Just watching that gap between the two leaders, now 3.6 seconds. It's coming down so fast, but with only 2.5 laps left of this race, is it coming down fast enough? We'll have to see. It could be a very close last lap battle. And now actually Hyped has defended from Rally so well that Chiquito's got a potential move here on the Red Bull driver. Looks like maybe Rally has a bit more DRS, and Hyped lets the pair of them through on the straight. And Chiquito's run into the back of Rally, and that's pushed Rally off the track wide, and Chiquito goes round the outside. Hyped's coming back round the inside, which switches to the outside for this next section, but he's going to have DRS, of course, and he's going to have ERS, which Chiquito does not have, and he's been passed by both drivers once again. Yeah, and Hyped, it's the same order it was before all this started. So Hyped made his way back up into 8th place, Rally 9th, and Chiquito 10th. So after 2 DRS straights, we've ended up back in the same order we were at the start of the first one. Crazy. So Hyped letting both drivers through has actually helped him out this time. But his teammate running into the back of Rally, that's a huge... Oh, Rally off the track! He's been pushed off the track by Hyped, and that's damage, and now Chiquito's involved. All 3 drivers there. Huge crash between them, and that's damage for all of them, and that's... Another driver spinning at the corner. I think that's Hyped. No, it's Chiquito, who's on the inside and got spun by Mr. Stiklas. It's the second time Mr. Stiklas has been involved in an incident where the other car has been spun in this race, and it's gone crazy here on the penultimate lap. Well, not for these guys, but the penultimate lap for the leader here of this race. 1.4 is the gap at the front now, coming down all the time. And I wonder who'll get blamed for that as Chiquito retires, becoming the 6th retirement from this race. This what it has done though is allowed, as Dosepsky passes Jim on the back straight there, so what it has allowed though is for this whole group here to bunch back up, and those with damage are at the front of it, so it's going to be Wilt and Swen who benefit from this the most, and possibly even move their way up into the points. Wilt makes his way up into P9 past his teammate Rally with a right end plate damage as he's gone very deep into the corner after a lockup. It's going to allow Hyped for a switchback. It looks like he just got hit from behind by Swen though, so he's going to have his exit compromised, but he's got the DRS, and nonetheless he's going to try around the outside of Rally, who of course has damage, and it's an easy DRS pass once again. Rally falling down after that incident, which was by no means his fault really. It was probably more Hyped's fault for pushing him off, but Rally is the one who suffered because of it. And now look at Swen and Tambi scrambling for position here. Tambi going to try round the outside of Swen here into the triple, and these made contact. Tambi just about manages to keep it within the limits of the track there, and stopped a bigger incident from occurring. We're now on the final lap, and there has been a move for the lead. Bread has moved his way up into the lead of this race, but he has 3 second time penalty, which Rudy does not. He's got to pull out another 2 seconds with the remainder of this lap, and Rally has retired in the pits. So Rally just deciding it's not worth it, as Tambi looking for another way through on Swen. All this fighting they're doing is going to lose them time to Hyped as Swen's... He took a bit of an odd line there through the S section. It's allowed Tambi through, but what Swen does now have is the DRS. But has Tambi done enough to just get inside the DRS range of Hyped? Looks like he might have. No, he didn't, but Swen's not too much of a threat. He's a long way back coming out of that corner. And it's not looking like Bread's going to be able to do enough to get the win here, as Rudy is still 1.3 seconds behind. The gap is getting bigger all the time, but I think the DRS straights may have saved Rudy here, who's going to come to probably win this race, as that's very wide there. But we move back to the front of the race. Bread will be the first driver to cross the line in this race, but it's going to be Rudy who takes the win here in Abu Dhabi. Second Bread, third Polwi. Dusepski will round the final corner and come fourth. No, Dusepski third. Polwi had that many penalties. Dressbassen will come in sixth as Jim moves his way up into fourth ahead of Polwi as well. Polwi must have a load of penalties then. Ladamala seventh, and Mr. Stiklas will come home in eighth. Ninth will be Wilt, and 10th will be Hyped, as there's a battle through the final corner. Tambi just unable to get the traction on Hyped, but Hyped finishes 8th ahead of Mr. Stiklas then. Swen 10th, Tambi 11th, Wilt 12th, and Rossi, who is doing donuts in the exit of the final corner there, will come home 13th and last after the 6 retirements in this race. In fact, it's 7 retirements, with Rally retiring there right at the end. Hello to Freylox. You've just missed what is a pretty exciting Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Just coming at the end here. So, yeah. Just watch Rossi finally decide to cross the line. Nope, he decides to retire instead. Make that 7 retirements from this race. And 12 finishes. Dusepski with a great performance there to come in third. Driver of the day, Ladamala. Where did he finish? Yeah, I think I'd agree with that, actually. We see now the podium 3 here. Rudy with a great strategy there to get the win here. I was questioning it at first because it is very, very risky to do that one stop, because even though you have track position and it is difficult to overtake here, you're so much slower, right? You just don't have the pace, especially if they pitted for softs at the end. You're seconds a lap slower. And he was quite lucky, in fact, to get the DRS off of Bread, because I think that is what saved him here. I think if Bread had maybe waited a little bit to make his move, or I don't know, not made it the first corner, it could have been a different story. But instead, Rudy's your winner. 7/10 was the gap to Bread. All Bread needed was 7/10 more, and he would have had it. Dusepski in third, Jim fourth, Polwi fifth, Dressbassen sixth, Ladamala seventh, Hyped 8th, Mr. Stiklas 9th, and Swen the final points paying position. Tambi just missing out on points after that great battle with Ladamala earlier on. Wilt 12th, and Rossi who technically is classified along with Rally and Chiquito, but they all did actually retire from this race. Your non-finishers were Scorsese, Ishtar, Lord Alam, Basket Emil and Ghost Toy, who crashed out from the lead earlier on in this race in very dramatic fashion. These are just all the warnings in case any of the drivers want to get penalties removed, etc. Wow, look at that. Jesus. So it looks like Bread actually managed to get 2 warnings at once there for exceeding track limits and then the penalty. So maybe looking to get that one removed, but I'm not sure how it's labelled in the race director, to be completely honest. You are French. Well, hello to Freylox, who is in France. Well, he didn't actually say he's in France, he just said that he was French, but I'm assuming that you're in France. But that has been it from the Tier 1 race. Just having a look at the other ones. No, both other races have finished, so we were the last ones to finish this week. And yeah, I mean, a lot better of a race than I expected, to be completely honest. I wasn't too hopeful when I saw it was Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi, usually quite a boring race. Lots of following others round, but not quite able to get the move done. But we didn't get that here today, so that's good to see. We got quite an exciting race, lots of drama, start to finish, with crashes everywhere. I mean, we ended up, what was it, 8 retirements? So, crazy stuff there. But yeah, that's been it from me. Of course, if you want to check out the other streams, we have Tier 4 and 5 running on a Sunday, again 8 PM UK time, just like this stream was. And we have the Sprint League running on a Tuesday at 8 PM UK time once again. Of course, I'll have to check to see, because we also have the Project Cars 2 League, which runs GT3 cars, but I'll have to check if it's running this week. It runs every other week, so I'll just have to quickly look to see if it's happening this week or not. Today is the 18th, so yeah, this Sunday again, probably at 8 PM UK. Well, I say no, Saturday. I'm stupid. Never worry. So this Saturday at 8 PM UK time, we will have the GT3 race on Project Cars 2 at the Nürburgring. This is the Nürburgring GP layout, not the Nordschleife. So if you are at all interested in that style of racing, you have that to look forward to. In fact, I think the rest of the races, yeah, so this week we have the Nürburgring, and then next week we have Monza, and then we have a break, and then the week after that we have a Long Beach, which is the finale for that. So it's not quite every other week, there are some consecutive races. In fact, Imola was last week, and Portimao was the week before that, so it's actually very rare to have a week's gap. But yeah, that's been it from me, so thank you all for coming. Yeah, how many viewers did we have in this stream? We had quite a few at one point. I think we had up to 10 at some point, so that's quite high actually for some of the streams on Tier 1, so thank you all for coming. Hope you all enjoyed the stream as much as I did, and hope to see you next week. Goodbye.